Hi, in this session we'll go through what if analysis. Now, what if analysis is a type of sensitivity analysis wherein we are looking at changes to a dependent variable when an independent variable is changed. Now, by dependent variables over here in Excel, I mean variables or cells which consist of a formula. And by independent or input variables, I mean cells which are being used in those formulas. So let's take an example over here. Now there's this person ABC who's planning to buy a car. The purchase price of the car is $80,000. The down payment which he is right now thinking of is somewhere around 20%. Now the loan term would be 48 months. That's 4 years. So basically the installments will be monthly and the interest rate which he's being charged is around 5%. Now, loan amount, monthly payments, and total interest. These are all four variables whose values will be dependent on these variables. So let's just look at the formulas first. So in case of loan amount, we have the formula of B2 into 1 minus B3. So basically, if the person decides to pay 20% as down payment, the rest of it would be the loan amount. Now, monthly payments would be dependent on total payments divided by the loan term or the number of months over here. Now, total payments will be the sum of loan amount, which the person will definitely have to return. With that, the person will also have to return the interest rate. The total interest is calculated by interest rate over here and the loan amount. So basically, if we multiply the interest rate with the loan amount, we will get the total interest. So these are the four dependent variables and these are the four independent or input variables. Now we'll first look at goal seek. Goal seeking is used when we have one value in mind for a particular dependent variable and we want to change the value of an input variable to achieve that value. So let's see how this works. For using what if analysis, you need to go to the data toolbar and you've got what if analysis over here. So let me just copy and paste this entire table over here so that when we make changes to this table, you can actually compare it over here. Okay. Now at the moment, if this individual goes ahead and buys this car worth $80,000 and pays a down payment of 20% with loan term of 48 months and interest rate of 5%, the loan amount would be of $64,000. Monthly payments which he'll have to bear for 48 months is around $1,400. The total payments which at the end of 4 years or 48 months he'll end up paying around $67,200 and the interest rate would be around $3,200. So now let's say this person is not comfortable with a $1,400 a month payment and wants to reduce it to $1,200 and he's comfortable with the purchase price, he's comfortable with the loan term and interest rate, just that he's willing to change the down payment to get this payment down to $1,200 from $1,400. So for that, we'll go to what if analysis, we'll click on goal seek. Now we need to set the value monthly payments to $1,200 and by changing cell down payment, as you click on OK, so Excel gives you a status that okay, goal seeking has found a solution. So target value was $1,200, so they've found a solution for $1,200. When you click on OK, so now you can see that the down payment has changed to 31%. Now in order to have a monthly payment of $1,200 instead of $1,400, the person will end up paying a down payment of 31% as compared to a 20% which he was initially paying. Now the obvious disadvantage of goal seek is that we can just change one input variable. So for getting a monthly installment of $1,200, we might as well have wanted to change the loan term also, or maybe the interest rate as well, so that person can go out and try for a better deal. So now let's move on to other type of what if analysis. So let's discuss the scenario manager. Now, as the name suggests, Scenario Manager allows you to create different scenarios so that you can see the change or the impact of changing input variables over the dependent variables or the cells which consist of the formulas basically. So I'm taking the same example over here. Let me just zoom in a bit. Now what we'll do, we'll create different scenarios based on down payment. So we'll change the percentage of down payment to say 20%, 30%, 40%, and then we'll see the impact of this change over these cells. So let's go to what if analysis, click on scenario manager. So right now there is no scenario defined. To add a scenario, click on add. Always keep a name so that whenever you look at it, you know what it is going to do. DP 30% by changing cell, down payment, click on OK, 0.3, OK. Let's add another one, DP 40%. Again, the changing cell is B3, OK, zero point 0.4. Let's add another one, DP 10%. Changing cells B3, zero point 0.1, OK. Now you can select any of them by just clicking on them. So let's see if we select DP 30% and click on show, how these values will change. So originally at 20%, the loan amount was $64,000, but now it's just left to $56,000 because the person is paying more right at the start. Similarly, comparing the monthly payments, earlier it was $1,400, now it's just left to $1,225, and so on. Let's see on DP10. Now, when we keep it at 10%, the loan amount will increase because the person is contributing less at the start, and that just increases everything. So the loan amount increases, the monthly payments increase, and so do the total payments and total interest. Now let's close this. Now over here, what we have done is we've just changed the values of one variable, but using a scenario manager, we can change values of all these independent or input variables at the same time and then see the impact on the dependent values. So let me just copy the original ones first. Control C, Control V. Right. So now let's again go to what if analysis, scenario manager. Let's delete these scenarios. Let's add new SC1 by changing cells, all of them. So you can select all of them together. Click on OK. Now Excel will prompt you to enter values for each of them. So let's say I'm comfortable with the purchase price. I want to change the down payment. I want to reduce the loan term, and I'm comfortable with my interest rate. So this is scenario 1. Looking at scenario 2, SC2. Again, I'm changing all these variables. Click on OK. Let's say I want to change all the numbers now. Click on OK. So now I've got two scenarios, and again you can select either of them by just clicking on them. And when you click on show, so over here in the first scenario, the purchase price was the same. You've changed the down payment and you've changed the loan term. The interest rate also remains the same. So you can then compare the values with the original table. So the loan amount is just $56,000 as compared to $64,000 earlier. But there's an increase in the number of monthly payments, and that is because you've reduced the loan term. Now let's click on scenario 2. Click on show. Now for scenario 2, you've changed all these variables. So you've got the purchase price is $70,000. You've got down payments as 10%. Loan term has been increased from 48 months to 60 months. Then the interest rate has also increased from 5 to 10%. Basically, these two are not comparable, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how you can go about changing the variables. Now, one of the obvious disadvantages of Scenario Manager is that you cannot compare these values together. So, if I want to have, let's just delete them. So let's just say if I want to have different values over here of my input variables, and then I want to compare the impact of these changes over the dependent variables. So that is what a scenario manager sort of lacks. But now we'll discuss data tables within which we'll discuss one variable and two variable, and they help in this comparison of changes to an input variable to an extent. So let's just see how this also works. So I'll again copy the original data. So for this we'll use data tables. Now a data table is basically a range of cells which will give us values of formula driven cells or the dependent variables when values in input cells are changed. Now within data tables also there are two options. One is one variable data table and the other one is two variable data table. A one variable data table will give different values of dependent cells corresponding to different values of one input variable only. So you can change one input variable only, just that you can have the different combinations so that you can compare the changes easily. So let's see how this works. Let's say we want to change the interest rate. So I've got these different interest rates now. Now, one of the prerequisites of uh, using a data table is that you need to put these values from the original table as a formula. So now let's just create a table. And let me just change the format to dollars. Okay, so now all I need to do is I need to select this data set. I need to go to data, what if analysis, data table. Now you've got these two different values, row input cell and column input cell. Now because I'm passing the values of these different interest rates in a column, I will select this and I will go to the original table where the interest rate was present, and I can leave this as blank. Now click on OK. So as you can see now, there is no change to the loan amount, and that is because you do not change the down payment at all. There is a change in monthly payments, total payments and total interest though, and that is all because of the changes in interest rate. So the changes in interest rate are then passed on to the monthly payments and total payments. So using these different values of interest rates, I can compare where my monthly payments are less or my total payments are less, and then make a decision which would suit me. Now let's look at one more where we'll use the row input cell. So let me have these values here. I can then have this. Let's say I want to change the down payment. So let's just create a table. So now I'll I'll select this. I'll go to data, what if analysis, data table. Now I'm passing the different down payment percentages in rows. So and I can leave my column input cells as empty. So now you can see by changing your down payment from 20 to 10%, 30, 40 or 50, how the loan payment, monthly payment, total payments or total interest will change. Now let's move on to the scenario manager where we use two variable data table. So over here also I'm using the same example. I'll just zoom in a bit. Now the obvious advantage of a two variable data table over a one variable data table is that we can see the impact or the changes of two independent variables. But the disadvantage is that we can just see the impact of those changes or those combinations on just one dependent variable. So let's see how this works. Let's just copy these values. So let's have got these different interest rates and I've got these different down payments. And let's say I want to study the impact of changes in interest rates and down payments on monthly payments. So this is a prerequisite now. You need to make this value formula driven. Okay. So now we select this. We go to data, what if analysis, data table. Now in the row input cell, we are passing on down payment. In the column input cell, we are passing on interest rates. So now you can compare these different combinations. So for 10% down payment and 5% interest rate, the monthly installment will increase to $1,575, whereas it was $1,400 earlier. Uh, Even if we keep the down payment at 20%, now we can see the impact of changes in interest rates on these monthly installments. Now that we've discussed the different options in what if analysis, we have some exercises at the end of this video. So please do that. And in the next session, we'll be discussing solver. Thank you. Hi, in this session, we'll discuss about solver. Now, solver is used when you have a value in mind for your dependent variable or you want to maximize the dependent value or minimize it and you want to change the values of the input variables to achieve that value. So basically it's exactly opposite of what if analysis. In the what if analysis, we had seen the change or the impact of changes to the input variable on the dependent variable. So this is exactly the opposite. So over here, you've got some input variables and you've got a dependent variable or an objective in mind, and then you go about changing the values. It's a sort of an optimization tool. But before jumping onto it and how it works, there's a prerequisite. So go to file, go to options. Now click on add-ins. Now in the add-ins, analysis toolpack should be added in. If not, then just click on it and click on OK. So then you'll have this analyze toolbar appearing in the data group. Now click on solver. So this is how it looks like. So set objective, whether you want to maximize a particular dependent variable, you want to minimize it, or you want to keep it at a particular value. Then by changing which variables. So over here you will specify the input variables or the location of the input variables. Then over here you will add the different constraints, and we'll take this example over here so that this all is easily understandable. So let's look at it. So over here I've got a company and the company produces three products A, B and C. So right now the company is producing 50 products of each A, B and C. So the total units it is producing is around 150. Over here we've got price per unit. So for A, 1 unit will fetch 250, for B 150, and for C 350. And we've got the cost per unit also, 90 pence, 20 pence, and $1.70. Now just looking at it, you've got the total profit. Again, let me just show the formulas over here. So the total profit is basically based on the number of units sold, and then you just subtract the price and the cost and then just multiply it with the number of units. So basically the profit into the number of units. This formula over here, this is just the sum or the total number of units being produced right now. And this is the overall profit. So profit from product A, product B, and product C. Now let's just remove this. Okay. So now our objective over here is to maximize this profit. Now there are some limitations over here. So one of the limitations is that the overall units which can be produced in a given month cannot be more than 450. Now for these individual products also we've got certain limitations. So we cannot produce more than 250 units of product A, more than 400 units of product B, and more than 100 units of product C. So let's see how solver will work. Set objective. We want to maximize overall profit. We want to maximize it by changing variables. Now the variables which will change over here is these units which are being produced, because this is the only thing which we can change. The price and the cost, they will remain the same. So it is this production of these units which we want to optimize. Now we'll add the constraints. So add. Now the first constraint will be this, that is the number of units for product A should be less than equal to this. Add. For product B, this should be less than equal to 400. Add. For product C, this should be less than equal to 100. Add. The overall units should be less than equal to 450. So we've got these four constraints over here, and let this remain as GRG nonlinear. We'll click on solve. So we've got a prompt that solver has found a solution. Now one thing to note over here is that there might be times when solver may not be able to find the solution. So then you'll just have to change around some constraints or probably your objective to get to a desirable result. Let's click on OK. So as you can see, now your number of units has changed and your profit has also increased to $710 from $235. So now what Excel is saying is that we can produce 250 units of product A, but only 100 units of product B and 100 units of product C. And when we optimize all of them, we'll end up with 450 units in total because that was the limitation. And we'll have a profit of $710. Let's look at another example of solver. Now this is something which the operations teams in banks usually use. In the fraud or anti-money laundering environment, there are always some strategies to identify frauds. Now these strategies then throw up alerts, and each of these alerts has some scores. Over here, what we can see in this table is that there are in total 325 alerts being generated by strategy 1, 398 by strategy 2, and just 98 by strategy 3. So this is for score greater than equal to 1. So this will also include the count of people having scored 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Similarly, 398 is for all the people having a score greater than equal to 1. So it will also include alerts where the scores were greater than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As we keep on moving to the left side, the number of alerts keep on reducing. So for a score of greater than equal to 9, we just have 125 people. For a score of greater than 10, we just have 100 people. So now there is always a limitation around the number of cases which can be worked by an operations team because they've got their own deadlines also, and then they've got their own resources also. They cannot investigate each and every alert which gets generated. So currently these strategies have a set score. So for strategy 1, we are right now having 125 alerts. So basically any alert with a score of greater than equal to 9 we are considering for strategy 1. For strategy 2 we've got 128. So any alert with a score of greater than equal to 8 we are considering that. And for strategy 3 we've got 51. So any alert with a score of greater than equal to 6 which is being triggered by strategy 3 we are considering it. So in total, we've got 304 alerts right now, but we want to optimize this to 400. So we want to increase the number of alerts from 304 to 400. So by 96. There are some more restrictions. One is that the alerts which are being triggered by strategy 1 should be more than by strategy 2, and alerts being triggered by strategy 1 should be twice that being triggered by strategy 3. Now, this may be because the bank feels that strategy 1 is more important or it identifies more risky cases. Then there are some more constraints that for strategy 1, the number of alerts should not exceed 170. For strategy 2, the number of alerts should not exceed 180. And for strategy 3, the number of alerts should not be more than 90. So let's just copy this first so that we can compare it. So let's go to solver. So our objective is that this particular sum should be less than or equal to 400 by changing values, these values. Now we'll add the constraints now. So the first constraint is this should be less than equal to 170, add this should be less than equal to 180, add this should be less than 90, add, then this should be greater than or equal to this, add, and this should be greater than equal to 2 times this. Click on OK. So now I've got these constraints added. Now let's click on solve. So as you can see now that Excel has given you a solution. So what it is saying is that we can maximize strategy 1 to 170. For strategy 2 we can again maximize it to 170, and for strategy 3 we can keep it at 60 only. So in terms of scores, if you look at it now, so for 170 it would lie somewhere between 7 and 8. For 170 for strategy 2 it would lie somewhere between 6 and 7, and for strategy 3 60 it would lie somewhere between 4 and 5. So this is how the operations teams in the banks optimize their resources and choose the score thresholds accordingly. After this video, we've got some exercises for you to work upon. Thank you.